Welcome into the D Event Center on the campus of Weber State University for the 2019 6A Boys State Championship Basketball Tournament on live.ksl and DeseretNews.com. Dusty Lister and Dane Stewart at Deseret News Rewind with you. Opening round game. The #1 team out of Region 4, Pleasant Grove, taking on the #4 team out of Region 1 in Weber. And Dane, Weber, you know, they were a 4 seed. A couple weeks ago, they were the only team to knock off Fremont in Region.
Yeah, they had a really good close to the end of the year. I know they dropped another late game to Northridge and made things a little tense near the bottom of that Region 1. But this team, I think, Dusty, does a pretty good job of frustrating opposing offenses, and it'll be interesting to see if they can try to get to some of these Pleasant Grove Vikings. Coach Jones said, hey, we're going to have to muddy this game up a little bit, and it'll be interesting to see if they can figure out a way to do that against the #1 team in the state.
Wait, look at Pleasant Grove. This is a team a year ago that made it to the state championship game and fell short against their rival Lone Peak. They come back this year, a group of seniors that have played a lot of basketball, including Casey Brown and Matt Van Komen. These are two young men that have played starter minutes since their sophomore year. Well, Matt since he was a freshman. Casey got it going as a sophomore. This is the road to redemption and the road to destiny for these two.
Yeah, I mean, it is about this year, and this is what this program has been building for years now, right? But the other thing, Dusty, I mean, you look at the talent around them, an Akina who can drive and is having a really good year, or Mickelson, who has been, you know, moved in last year, just a junior, but he's provided a great, you know, kind of that assistant scoring from the perimeter, and they've got a really good bench as well.
High-low into Van Komen. Maddie puts that one in, and it's 2-0 PG.
And that's going to be really the advantage. Talking with Coach Jones said, look, we have to worry about their guards and try to make Van Komen beat us. And if Van Komen gets to, you know, 15, 20, then we'll start to worry about him. They're going to try to really man up on Matt Van Komen. We'll see how, if PG can take advantage of it.
Off the mark there on the run now with Casey Brown. Here's Fairbanks coming off that terrific game against American Fork as Akina drives the lane. And Kavika can't get that one to drop, and the rebound claimed by Iverson. Up top with Opikins. Gonna pull for 3. And Brant can't hit that one, and it's Mickelson claiming the board as Fairbanks on the run. Skip to Casey Brown, and Casey jackknife it up, won't go. Matt there for the follow-up dunk.
Four early points for Van Komen. And you see the difficulty that he provides as, I mean, just that length. And I thought maybe he came into the Weber player, but will that count as a block, Dusty? Because that wasn't really a shot.
It really shouldn't be.
We'll give him a half block.
I'll give him a steal.
That? Oh, okay.
Give him a steal on that one. As Skank just couldn't quite, I don't know, that was kind of a mustered up one. Is Fairbanks for 3, and that's what Coach Jones did not want to see. He told us, hey, look, Fairbanks had 25, Brown had 31 against AF, Matt only had 10. We have got to make sure those other guys don't get going. And now Fairbanks and Brown both with field goals here in the first quarter.
Yeah, 7 points, and quickly for the Pleasant Grove Vikings. And that Weber defense right now, boy, needs to do a better job of contesting those perimeter type shots.
In the corner. Now up top with Iverson here, that one stolen. There's Skank working on Mickelson. Now Iverson send up top. Opikins.
Great recovery by this PG defense. I mean, it looked like Weber had him a little out of positioning, but they were able to recover real quickly.
And the 3 is good. And that was Max Triplett knocking down the triple. And gets the Warriors on the board.
Boy, so important to get some early confidence, and Max Triplett able to hit that 3. You see Van Komen didn't close out on him at all. It was almost like, yeah, I'll give you that shot, and Triplett able to hit it. Weber's going to have to take advantage of the open looks they get in this ball game to try to hang with PG.
Fairbanks inside now to Van Komen. Matt sent out to Brown. Casey working on Skank. Now it's Fairbanks straight away off the mark. Van Komen with the board, bucket, and foul.
How about 6 early points for Matt Van Komen? And a young man who can score, but, you know, we asked him, Dusty, committed up to the U, hey, what should you fans, Utah fans know about you? He said, I'm a rim protector, right? And He prides himself on his defense. For him to have 6 points here in just the first 3 minutes of the ball game, that's a great start for the 7'4" senior and for Coach McAllister's group.
And Opikins loses that ball out of bounds. It was off his foot. And it'll be Viking basketball with 4:39 left in the first quarter. And for Coach McAllister, he's got to be very pleased how this game has started for his Vikings.
Yeah, I asked him before the game started. You know, #1 seed, undefeated in the toughest region, going up against a 4 seed. Do you worry about the focus of your team? Said no. You know, team's been really focused, and they've shown it here in the early parts of this first quarter.
Second chance opportunity off the mark. Now a chance for a third opportunity. As Iverson with the rebound, send up top to Opikins. And that ball goes through. Iverson able to track it down. But he mentioned that West Jordan game a year ago, where West Jordan pushed them to the absolute brink. And he said, you know what, our guys brought it up and said, remember last year? Like, we can't do that again. And he said, they're going to say the things I'm going to say, that we're in a good spot.
And I think their plays reflected that. I mean, I would say Weber looks to the team a little more, I don't want to say shell-shocked, but a little more discombobulated, trying to get their footing going here early on. PG's executing at a really high level.
Lafferberg could not get that one to fall. And ball's going to ping pong around, picked up by Skank. Hudson split the defenders, and Hudson goes down, and Fairbanks in the wrong spot there. Glad to see they get too chippy. They put Hudson at the line for 2 free throws.
Fairbanks getting called for the personal. Love watching Skank play. Saw him a lot this year on the football field, and really dynamic athlete. Good corner as well, and at the line here for the senior, he's able to score his first point of the ball game.
Hudson, our most unheralded player during the football season for 6A, and on top of that, committed here to Weber State University and play for his coach, Coach Matt Hammer. Made the move over to Weber as well. As Hudson knocks down the free throws, and it's 9-5 with 3.5 to go in the first quarter. As Mickelson give it up top to Kavika Akina.
Zone defense here for Weber with Van Komen on the bench.
Oh, nice find inside, and Mickelson with the bucket.
A great job of clearing a path and a spot for Kel Mickelson to get right at the rim. It's a good pass to get it in there, too, in what was a pretty congested lane. But Mickelson with a nice finish.
Here's Hudson straight away with Fairbanks. 2:45 to go in the quarter. Brown switches on Skank. As Hudson can't get that one to go. Rebound on the backside and bucket for Triplett. And Max Triplett will go to the line looking for the three-point play. The foul goes on Derek Church.
Triplett with 5 points now, chance at the line. And boy, when you have to go up against 7'4" Matt Van Komen, right? We said the same thing. We did a lot of Wasatch Academy games. When you have to go up against top competition, it's really your opportunity to make a name for yourself. And I know Triplett, you know, against Van Komen just hit the 3. But an and one opportunity there, and Max Triplett in this first round with the majority of the Weber points, and good to see him delivering on the offensive end for the Warriors.
Inside now, Derek Church, send out to Fairbanks. Derek gets around Triplett, left hand at the rim, can't get it, gets his own rebound, and Church, a workman-like stat-stuffing bucket there with the board and bucket.
You know, and that's one of the things that makes this PG team so difficult. We talk about Casey Brown, and you talk about Matt Van Komen, but their depth. And I mean, you have a Derek Church who, when Van Komen goes to the bench, he can come in and work the inside like that, get an offensive rebound and put back. A lot of depth to this PG lineup. Nice
hands by Church, got the strip on one end, and then it's Skank getting the strip on the other. And that went off of Casey Brown. The officials will get together and they'll make the change, and it'll be Weber ball.
Yeah, I thought that did go off of PG, and the official was right there trying to say, hey, I got that wrong. Blew his whistle a couple times, pointing to himself. And always want to give officials credit for when they take accountability, right? Just say, hey, no, that, my bad, I missed that. I think most coaches and fans have respect when officials have the ability to do that.
Hudson with a fireball at the offhand, and turnover will go back down the floor. PG. A little amped up there.
That one had some fire behind it.
Well, 1:46 left in the first quarter, and the Vikings got that quick start, and Weber able to weather that storm and pull within 5 points here. As Church at the high post has it poked away. Here comes Iverson. Give it up to Skank. Hudson hanging on a pivot. Now Pikins.
It almost sounded like a song there, Dusty.
Hanging on a pivot?
Yeah.
You know, Hot Rod Hundley said it, and it sounded like a song, so I just went with it. This Hudson Skank blocked by Casey Brown, now on the run. Mickelson up top of Church, now Akina. 4-3, Kavika Akina.
You know, and hopefully the Akinas don't take this the wrong way. How about the development of Kavika over the last couple years? I mean,
absolutely.
As a sophomore, it felt like he was more of a slasher, had to get to the rim, didn't have much of a jump shot. We've seen him be phenomenal this year at that outside game and able to square up, hit that three. Kavika Akina's rounded into a really good ball player.
And again, it's triple on the other end with the +1 as Van Como will come back on the floor. And remember, when he moved in, it was he and his brother Keanu. Yeah. Keanu was the shooter.
Yeah.
But I remember talking with Coach McAllister saying, hey, you know, Keanu's been great. He's like, hey, you wait. Kavika is going to develop into a really good point guard for us.
He absolutely has. And a young man that started this year with a hand injury. And boy, what a senior year he's had.
As Kavika comes down the floor, hands off to Casey Brown. Casey down the lane, jackknife it up, left hand won't go. Van Komen with the rebound. They got a foul on the board. It'll be Matt Van Komen. I think they said on the floor, but I don't think they gave him the shot on it.
You know, one of the things, Dusty, this time of year, right, there's always kind of that interest in the Geico National Tournament. We've talked a lot about Wasatch Academy. I was reading an article over the weekend. Not out of the question for Pleasant Grove. I was actually surprised to see that, but they have to win this tournament. And, you know, you talk about Akina and Van Komen in this group. It was kind of on the, I mean, they won't acknowledge it, but I think it was on the radar for this group prior to the year. And, you know, obviously they had a really tough schedule this year, trying to qualify for that. And be interesting to see when that field comes out in a week or two, whether these Vikings can make a large enough case with their resume.
10 seconds to go in the quarter outside. Now Pikins with 5. There'll be a Skank in the corner at the horn. And that'll do it for the first quarter. The end of one, it's Pleasant Grove 18 and Weber 11. You're watching the 2019 6A Boys State Tournament on live.ksl and deseretnews.com with commentary brought to you by Tosh, the Orthopedic Specialty Hospital.
Learn more about dairy and nutrition by visiting dairywest.com. Weaver substitution, number 41, Quinn Bennett. Mountain America Credit Union is proud to be the new title sponsor for the Utah High School Activities Association. Visit MACU.com for more information. And thank you, Mountain America. It will be Weaver's ball to begin the second quarter.
Start of the second quarter. Weber High, or pardon, Weber High. It is Weber High. Weber High at Weber State. Dusty Lister and Dane Stewart with you. We talked about our commentary brought to you by Tosh Orthopedic Specialty Hospital. Scoreboard brought to you by Heidemann and Associates. I want to thank Justin Heidemann for his support of Deseret News Rewind. As that taken shot will not drop for Lefebvre as Brown comes the other end. Got blocked, and Van Komen there with the loose ball and the hammer.
I mean, the number that Coach Jones said was 10, right? He's like, he only had 10 against American Fork. I'll give Van Komen 10. Well, he's done that in the first 8:43. And I'm not going to say it's a bad philosophy. I don't know how, I would game plan to go up against PG, but right now Matt Van Goman's he's having himself a good first round of this state playoff.
Remember Coach Maxwell last year in the semifinals against Olympus?
Yeah.
We talked about this, and he was like, so how do you handle it? Well, I'm going to let Ryland's going to get his. I'm going to go after Dowdell.
Yep.
And he's like, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It's one of those things. All right, Van Coleman, I'll let you get 10, but I just can't let Casey get 31, as there's a foul on the drive. That'll put Hudson Skank at the line. That foul goes on Casey Brown. And that's it goes on Nichols.
And that's a great display of Van Coleman, right? So you've got a drive from your athletic point guard, Hudson Skank, and he sees 22 coming over, and he's got to put that up so high over the outstretched arm of Van Coleman that, I mean, there's really very little shot of that going down and getting an and one. There are very few. For those of you who watched the Jazz and Thunder game last week, I mean, the floater by Paul George over Rudy Gobert, there are very few that can hit that shot. And it's why Matt Van Coleman's going to have an opportunity to go at the U and make an impact as a rim protector, because he does force that type of shot adjustment from inside of, 8-10 feet.
And who would have thought Paul George actually make 2 buzzy game-winning shots in the first 2 of his career all in a month? I didn't think it. As Brown terminates, sends outside to Nichols. Nichols right down the lane and gets the bucket. That's where Tim Nichols is used to practice to get around the corner. Matt Van Coleman standing there to block him because he hesitated. He was like, wait, oh yeah, he's on my team.
Well, that's the other great thing, right, is that, I mean, as a PG player, you have to go up against Van Coleman, so very used to some of those difficult finishes. Man, Max Triplett living up to the name.
How about it, Triplett? If it's not going to count for 3 points, he's not shooting. He's got 12 all 3-pointers. Well, 2 3-pointers and then a +1. As the ball goes out of bounds. And we'll stay here at PG as Cale Mickelson will come back on for Nichols. The fun part about this week is who shows up, and see the coaching staff from USU Eastern here. Curtis Condi, the assistant head coach, as Casey Brown gets that bucket on the inbound, and 9-point advantage.
Walking the hallways, and of course to see our listeners and parents and athletes, and always fun when you have these single settings, right? Because you do get some absolutely great atmospheres and just people who love the game, and opportunity to just sit down and just enjoy a whole day and a half of it.
It's a basketball reunion, as I've had a lot of media members tell me. Oh, Van Coleman gets the block on the baseline, and nice job of just fighting for that basketball there by Cannon DeVries. Or DeVries, it'll be DeVries or DeVries?
I think it's DeVries.
DeVries, and DeVries picks up the foul after. That's one of the ones. All right, I got enough room. I think I can get this off. Dun, 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 dun. Go, go, gadget arm.
Yeah.
As Brown works off the screen and Matt Van Coleman, and Brown can't hit just inside the arc. Tough start here for Casey as Fairbanks knocks down his second triple, probably his third. No, his second 3-pointer.
And just like that, this lead has expanded. A 9-4 quarter for PG to push this thing up to double figures.
Up top with Skank. Now in the corner, Opikins. Front iron. Rebound by Iverson, blocked by Van Coleman. And Matt going to push it up the floor.
Running the point.
I can hear his dad yelling, give it up.
Ryland Jones isn't going to like that next year.
And they lob it up to Van Coleman. Matt with the soft touch off the backboard, and it's 12 points for Van Coleman in the first half.
He and Triplett tied for the lead in the ball game. Man, what a great start and a beautiful play. Nice pass to get Van Coleman on the run and lead him right to the rim.
Said this since he was a freshman. He's big, he shoots free throws really, really well, and he does have a very soft touch around the rim. The 3 on the way and off the mark from Opikins. And on the run now is Fairbanks. In the corner, Mickelson for 3. Timeout, Coach Jones. 4 minutes left in the half, and the Vikings up 17. PG 32, Weber 15. You're watching the 6A first round on live.ksl and DeseretNews.com. Outlet timeout. Again, I want to remind you, our scoreboard brought to you by Heidemann and Associates, law firm down in Utah County. No matter if it's protecting your business, getting your estate planning taken care of, and even entertainment where they're growing, Heidemann Associates is here to win for you. Check out Heidemann and Associates. As Skank gets a steal, give it up, bump and bucket for Quinn Bennett. And the man who normally only makes buckets if the clock's running down, he has 2 buzzer beaters on the year. Will go to the line for the 3-point play.
Young sophomore. And talking with Coach Jones before the game, said, hey, he's kind of my guy. When I need points, I look to Quinn. And great compliment for such a young man. And one of the interesting things will be, I mean, a couple more years to watch his development here for Weber High basketball.
And gets the free throw. So a 14-point game with 3.5 left in the first half here in the second game on the first day of the 6A state tournament. Into the corner, Kel Mickelson. Kel sends over to Akina Kavika. Back out Mickelson for 3, wide right. And we will go down the other end of the floor.
And Weber's got to be just breathing a sigh of relief. The way that PG has shot this ball from the perimeter in this first half. I mean, it's been impressive. And that one looked good. Just misaligned that time by Kale.
Always like the dueling student sections. As Skank pulls for 3, off the mark, rebound taken by Church. As Fairbanks hands off to Akina. Kavika now to Mickelson. Kale sends back to Akina for 3, and it's Kavika's second tray of the half.
Boy, great unselfish play that time by Mickelson. Gets it at the elbow, and the defense collapses down. He just turns around, hands it right back to Akina for the open 3.
Nice drive by Opaikin, slapped out of bounds by Mickelson. And we will stay here with Weber.
You know, it's one of those things we've talked about a little bit, PG and some of the demons in the postseason. This looks like regular season PG. I mean, they are playing really, really well here in this first round, and good to see for a team that, as we talked about, aiming for a state championship here in 2019.
Timeout on the floor, 2:32 left in the half. You're watching the 6A state tournament on live.ksl and DeseretNews.com. Skank going to trigger the inbound. That ball tipped out of bounds by Pleasant Grove, and will stay here with Weber. Interesting second quarter. Weber only, what, 10 points?
Yeah, 7. It's been a 17-7 scoring advantage for Pleasant Grove in this second. They open things up here in that PG zone. Man, what is Coach McAllister going to run next year when he doesn't have a 7-3 centerpiece in it?
We asked him that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Say, hey, Coach, here's defense. He's like, our defense. I said, what's it going to look like next year? You're not funneling to a 7-3 guy. I don't want to think about it. There's a nice job of using the rim as protection there by Iverson. His first 2. Oh, no, that's Triplett. That's a first non-3 for Max Triplett. That's why I couldn't have thought it was Iverson. It's only getting 2 points on that bucket. Send out to Akina. Kavika, nice move and finish. Kavika Akina with 8 points.
Just the balance. I mean, 7 different scores today for PG, 3 for Weber.
Opaikins, a little long on that shot. Triplett had the rebound, and Mickelson knocks it off of him, and it'll be PG ball and a chance, Dane, to get up 19, possibly 20 points. Coach McAllister told us, I asked him, hey, is there a difference between that 9 a.m. and 11 game? He goes, yeah. He said the 9 a.m. start and the 9 a.m. finish are probably the two toughest ones. But he said, I think we're focused and ready to go. And I've been very, very impressed with how they started this game.
It does not look like previous years' postseason PG teams. And, you know, Dusty, one of the other things, I mean, you talk about this PG team, they have done a lot of things for the first time this year. And I dare say that having this kind of a start in the first round was another one to add to that list.
Win a region championship, first time in a long time. Sweep Lone Peak, sweep AF, went undefeated in region play. And it's funny, he said that there was a point in region play they had to play 4 straight road games. He goes, we looked at that and said, okay, we go 2-2, 3-1, like that's okay. He goes, and we look back like, wow, we won all 4 of those games.
Yeah.
We went out and handled our business. And to him, I think for Coach McAllister, I think it's a good mindset any coach wants to have. Is you never want to think you're better than you are, but it's always good to look back and see how good you are. As Opikins was adjusting there for Matt Van Komen, and he misses it. On the other end, Brown lob it up, and Van Komen call it on the floor, and it'll inbound along the baseline.
14 foul on Weber.
I don't want to jinx this, but this has been a very cleanly played first half.
Yeah.
Lob it up to Van Komen, and Matt able to get it to fall. 30 seconds to go and a 22-point advantage.
There's not a lot you can do there. And I mean, you know, you're straight up defensively, but you're never going to be able to reach the heights of Van Komen, especially when you throw that ball in as high as PG will.
And Skank will hold up for the final shot of the half, as this second quarter has been absolutely a clinic from Pleasant Grove with 7 seconds. Triplet lost the handle, sends out. Opikins at the horn, and that'll do it for the first half. Pleasant Grove with a terrific second quarter takes a 42-20 lead going into the break against Weber. You're watching the 2019 6A first round on live.ksl and DeseretNews.com.
And now, please welcome the Pleasant Grove Bikettes to the floor for your halftime entertainment. The Bikettes will be performing their palm routine. The Bikettes are under the direction of Stacy Squires, Sammy Jo Carson, and Sam Taylor. And now we welcome to the floor the Weber High School Warriorettes. Your attention, please. With the Lone Peak scorekeeper, please bring your book to the head table. Lone Peak to the head table. Thank you. UHSAA is proud to partner with Dairy West, which is comprised of dairy farm families throughout Utah. Dairy farmers have been committed to Utah high school activities for over 30 years. Thank your local dairy farmers as we thank them for their support. Get $75 when you open a MyStyle checking account at Mountain America Credit Union. With MyStyle checking, you'll earn rewards like gift cards, cashback, event tickets, and more. For details, visit macu.com. Visit the Shirt Stop to pick up your state hoodies, t-shirts, and hats. For retail quality screen printing, embroidery, or promotional products, reach out to the folks at the Shirt Stop. The Deseret News sponsors the team trophies for our UHSAA championships. Stats and standings are available at maxpreps.com, the official stats partner of the UHSAA. Jimmy John's, proud supporter of the Utah High School Activities Association. Try their new 9-grain wheat sub, made with the best of the best ingredients and baked fresh every day in store. Now available at a Jimmy John's near you. Wheat ya, freak ya, Jimmy John's. Today's game is being streamed live online and will be available for replay at live.ksl.com.
Start of the third quarter in the first round of the 6A state tournament. Dusty Litster, Dane Stewart of Deseret News Rewind with you. PG leading 42-20. And Dane, what a blistering end of the first half for Pleasant Grove.
Yeah, 24-9 second quarter for PG, Dusty. And the perimeter got going. I mean, Tyler Fairbanks, Mickelson, Akina. But it's been Van Coleman inside, 14 points as well. I mean, this has been, I don't want to say the perfect game, because I'm sure Coach McAllister, there's some things that he'd love to clean up, but I don't know what they are. It's been a really good first half for PG.
Missed 7 shots, I think, total. As Mickelson with that layup makes it a 24-point game as Triplet can't get the reverse to fall. Iverson sends out to Skank. And Mickelson knocks that one out of bounds.
And I think that's a great example. I mean, it's good ball movement by Weber, and that works against most teams. But Van Coleman obviously makes you adjust your shot of the rim. And then the recovery by the rest of the D to get back on their men. There's just nowhere to go, and it ends up with a deflection out of play.
Here's Triplet, had that one poked away by Brown, sent it top to Skank. Hudson, float it, won't go, and the rebound still loose. And it's Opikins coming out with it. And then a foul on the floor going against Casey Brown. And remind you, our scoreboard brought to you by Heidemann Associates. They are dedicated to winning for their clients. No matter if you need help with drafting a will, taking care of your estate planning, protecting your business, or personal injury, they want to win for you. Give them a call at 801-472-7742. That's Justin Heidemann and Associates. And foul up top, going to go against Cale Mickelson, and that's a second team foul on PG.
You know, and here's maybe one of those things, right? We're a minute into the second half, 2 fouls, and that one, Cale just being too aggressive. You know, in a 20-point ball game, fine. But the path for these PG Vikings, I mean, if you have to go through a Fremont, I know they've done pretty well against Lone Peak this year, or even if you get, you know, to that championship against an AF or a Copper Hills, I mean, there's going to be a time where you just got to be a little better in terms of when you decide to be aggressive on the defensive side.
Get into this 2-3 zone and try to fit that one into Triplet, and does. And Van Coleman with the block. On the run with Mickelson. Akina drop it into Van Coleman. Maddie sent out to Fairbanks. Now Akina. Kavika lob it up Van Coleman and left it short, and it's Akina with the rebound.
It was just a pass.
And Brown with the +1. 7 points for Casey. He'll go to the line for the 3-point play.
Bennett coming back on the floor here for Weber in a time where they really need to find some offense. And, you know, they've had some good looks. I think Van Coleman a little bit has made them adjust some of those looks, and it's been tough to finish. But, I mean, you know, they even have Skank, who's been their leading scorer on the year. A pull-up from 10, 12 feet. Van Coleman's underneath and off target. It's just been a tough day for the Weber Warriors here in the first round.
Mickelson with the steal. Cale going the other way. Leaves it for Fairbanks. Pump the 3, pull the 3. Leaves it short. Rebound Mickelson, can't get it. Van Coleman there for the putback dunk. Timeout, Coach Jones. 5:45 left in the third. You're watching the 6A State Tournament on live.ksl and DeseretNews.com. Commentary brought to you by Tosh, your orthopedic specialty hospital.
With MyStyle checking, you'll earn rewards like gift cards, cashback, event tickets, and more. For details, visit macu.com.
Out of the timeout, 5:40 left here in the third quarter. Dusty Litster, Dane Stewart of Deseret News Rewind with you. Our commentary brought to you by Tosh Orthopedic Specialty Hospital. As Bennett pulls for three, can't get it. Van Komen pulls down the rebound. And Akina on the other end.
Boy, the hesitation. He does a great job. Just a little shoulder shrug and opens up the entire lane for him to take. And it's a 30-point lead for Pleasant Grove.
Weaver been stuck on this 20-point spot for a minute now. And Van Komen is fouled by Bennett. Knew it, trying to reach it, poked that one away. Second team foul, first on Bennett. As Akina goes coast to coast and lays it in, and Kavika continues his impressive first round.
He's now got 12.
As Skank tried to fit that one in and couldn't. On the run now, Akina. Kavika off that screen, send out Fairbanks. And can't get it to drop. Rebound, triple it on the run with Hudson. Three on the way from Iverson is short. And the rebound taken by Kavika. As Akina goes off that screen of Van Komen, send up top to Brown. Casey to the corner to Mickelson. Now it's Akina again for three. Off the mark, Van Komen there for the board, and a rare miss on that little putback there, and Van Komen will go to the line. But you think about this PG team, they in all 3 years, Van Komen and Brown as sophomores. Obviously Matt started as a freshman, but lost in the semis to Bingham, lost in the championship to Lone Peak, and now this year's Open.
Yeah, and you know, you could make the argument that we have a lot of friends at Lone Peak, and I got some that probably aren't going to like what I'm going to say, but they lose 3 games to Lone Peak last year. And I think if you look at those rosters on paper, you would have given the edge to PG. And couldn't get it done. And, you know, I mean, we talked a little bit about that early on in this broadcast, but some of the playoff schneid that PG just hasn't been able to get over the hump of. And again, the way they've started in this game looks more like regular season PG than some of those other teams. And I think it's one of the things that PG fans have to feel really encouraged about, you know, to see the team come out this focused and execute this well.
Reach and foul there on Weaver, and you talk about that on paper, right? Because we even know other people. I asked him about, because we were talking about the state tournament, and a certain former coach said to us, he's like, yeah, look last year with PG. He's like, they had more guys than we had. Yeah. He's like, but we still got them twice. He's like, they had him in for his 2 guards that were so good, they couldn't have beaten them. As Mickelson floats it in the lane, and it crawls home.
How about 12-0 in the quarter for PG? And I mean, 54 points, that's great, but the defense has been just spectacular today. As there's the first point of the second half, and it comes for Hudson Skank.
And Skank knocks down that 3 as the PG student section's in full force today. We'll say this, we've been to a lot of places. There's not been a better student section this year than Pleasant Grove's. That makes some other people mad, but I think he's right. Is Church can't get that one to go. Rebound to Iverson.
You know, every time I see Derek Church with the ball, I just want to break out in that song. It's like, I'm going to church.
That's not a country song, though.
What?
You put some twang to it. If I'm not thinking of the right, so Take Me to Church. Is that the one you're talking about?
That's what it is. Yeah.
Valdo Kavika Akina go for a +1.
Well, I'm thinking from like a coach's perspective, right? Hey, I'm going to church.
Yeah.
On the inside, huh?
Take me to church. Yeah.
My bad.
No, that was good though. I mean, it only makes sense. You know, Eric Church is a country singer, so I'll give you that one. As I mentioned, I've known Derek since he was, what, 9 years old. Coached him in baseball a couple of games. Played with my nephew Kai. Always been a big kid. Most aggressive we've seen him have been today, for sure.
Matt Van Coman's got to be careful because he's got 16. Kavika now with 15. He's about to lose the game high in scoring. And we talk about the PG defense. How about the job they've done on this guy? Max Triplett had 9 points in the first, had another triple in the second, and he hasn't scored since that threes. Or no, he did have a field goal after that, but 14, he's gone quite a while here dry on the floor, and that defense done a nice job against the leading scorer for Weber in this ball game.
Big lead here for PG. So we talked about this in that first game. Give me a very interesting matchup. I know you look and like, well, it's Harriman. Harriman does pose some issues.
Here's the thing. I mean, there's not a lot of guys that can deal with the height of Matt Van Coman, right? Well, you've got 6'8" Blake Freeland. It's not 7'4", but he is certainly bigger. Can he push Van Coman away from the rim? I think the answer to that is yes. Now, how are the officials going to call the game? And I think that's going to be one of the real key factors, right, is what level of physicality is going to be allowed in that ball game on Wednesday. And can Freeland get Van Coman out of the paint? Because you look at J.L. Vaughn on Casey Brown, that's a pretty good matchup. I know when Harriman played Olympus, you want to know who J.L. Vaughn guarded? Ryland Jones. Yeah. I mean, he has had the assignment of dealing with some of the better scorers on opposing teams. Now, you know, I would argue that PG probably has a little more depth of scoring. But with the defense we saw today from Harriman, and they've got multiple bigs as well that they can throw, I think that second round becomes really interesting if the two teams play like they did today.
Well, the interesting thing is you got a scrum for the ball, and we just came out of that girls tournament, which were quick jump balls. And
yeah, we would have had 3 jump balls in that period in the girls tournament.
And we'll go the other way with Weber. The interesting thing, too, is going to be the 2 good posts. You have Freeland, you got Anderson. If I remember the name right, for some reason I feel like I'm wrong.
Case Peterson.
Peterson.
Yep.
And what that can do against his 2-3 zone and how you handle that is what I think is going to be interesting as well, because yes, PG has Matt Van Coman, but they don't play power forward center.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, the other thing is LeGrand Burgess shot the ball really well today for Harriman as well. So he, you know, if he can hit that 3 shot, then again, you just have a lot of lineups on the floor that I don't want to say are equal, because I think PG would still be the favorite, but where, you know, Harriman may actually have an ability to counter, whereas a lot of teams in the state don't.
Yeah. And we knew this from a year ago with Lone Peak, we talked about earlier. They didn't have very big bigs. You had 2 outstanding guards, and their Brinkerhoff and others were physical with Van Coman. So it's going to be a big test for Matt on Wednesday to go deal with Freeland, because Freeland, I mentioned it in the broadcast, is physical. I mean, the kid's a defensive end. As that 3 is up and short from Dylan Jones, as we go inside of a minute down to 50 seconds left in the 3rd quarter.
And you know, the other thing, I mean, being named the player of the game, you wonder what sort of confidence that'll give him heading into Wednesday, huh?
My favorite comment of the day thus far.
It's awesome.
I'm glad I already knew. So if you got any questions, got any thoughts as you're watching these games, either at school or work, hit us up at D-News Rewind. We'd be happy to respond to you. We got game 2 right now. 7 more to go as Skank knocks down the first. We're here all week to steal a line from some comedians. Literally all week, all 30 games will be right here on Deseret News and live.ksl.com. With commentary brought to you by the Orthopedic Specialty Hospital, and scoreboard brought to you by Heidemann and Associates. As the free throw, second one is good from Skank. He'll have 1 more. Hudson now with 5 points in the quarter, can make it 6. And does. We'll have a special guest joining us in the 4th quarter. Be interesting to get some comments. Is a 3 on the way, back iron, and rebound to Skank. Hudson races down the floor, count the bucket, and Skank will go the line for the 3-point play.
One of the few times that Weber's been able to get down the floor quicker than PG, and Skank using that speed, able to get to the rim. Nice job taking on the contact and getting the finish.
Iverson comes on for Bennett. As Skank will have the free throw. (57-32), 30 seconds left. As coming on for the Warriors was DeVries. And that ball out of bounds. Oh, I thought that was off of Dylan Jones, and Mr. Official said no, nay. We will stay with the Vikings.
For those of you who think that reaching out to us is just talk, we actually had a fan let us know that it was DeVries. So our apologies for getting that wrong in the first half. As
Kavika has that one stripped by Skank ahead to Opikins, and Opikins with the hammer. Young man going to play football here at Weber State. He and Skank gets the dunk. 5 seconds left, out of bounds, off of Weber. And Miller saying, "Oh, you got my arm."
Probably not going to get that call.
And the official point at the scoreboard. It's okay, bud. We'll be all right. Inbound in to Nichols. 2 seconds. One. Church at the horn. And we head to the fourth quarter. Pleasant Grove building a big lead. It's the Vikings 57, the Warriors 34. We head to the fourth. You're watching the 2019 6A State Tournament on live.ksl and DeseretNews.com. Commentary brought to you by Tosh, the Orthopedic Specialty Hospital.
Visit MaxPreps.com for stats, schedules, rosters, and more. Max Preps, America's source for high school sports. Substitution for the Warriors, number 41, Quinn Bennett. Into the Pleasant Grove lineup, number 12, Tyler Fairbanks, and number 3, Casey Brown. Also into the Pleasant Grove lineup, number 24, Theo Nicholson.
Start of the fourth quarter. Dusty Litster and Dane Stewart of Deseret News Rewind with you. Again, our commentary brought to you by Tosh, Orthopedic Specialty Hospital. Scoreboard brought to you by Heidemann and Associates. As that shot is off the mark, rebound taken by Weber on the run now with Hudson Skank. Give it up, and a block. There's going to be called a foul, will be called on Derek Church, and it'll put Opikins at the line to shoot 2 free throws. And we're pleased to be joined by state championship head coach and current head coach of the Wasatch Academy Tigers, Coach David Evans. Coach, how are you? You know, it's the start of the state tournament where we're doing 30 games. We're great. Game 2, we've got 28 more to go.
That's awesome.
So you're going to enjoy getting out of Mount Pleasant back up to a metropolis area.
Yeah.
As we'll get David on here in just a moment. Technical issues. It's still by Skank, and the bucket by Hudson as well. But Coach, able to take in some basketball. How different is it for you to finish your year and not be playing in this, coaching in the state tournament?
It's been a lot different. It's been a lot different. The state tournament is something that we just really looked forward to. Whether it was good or bad, we had some heartache a couple of years, and then we had last year was a great way to finish the year.
Talk about that great way. You swept PG last year. We were talking about it earlier. I mean, if you looked at those two rosters, you would have thought that PG with some of their size would pose some problems for you. What was key when you were trying to go up against these Vikings for that Lone Peak group?
Well, PG is a really good program. You know, Coach Mack is a really good coach, and so last year for us to go 3-0 against them, I think that was the people didn't understand. Like when we went against them in the state championship, to try to be a really good team like that 3 times in 1 year is very, very difficult. And you know, some of the keys that we had is with Matt. Matt poses all kind of problems because he's so big and long, and our tallest guy was Jackson Brinkerhoff, and he's about 6'6". He's about my height, and so you'll see. There's a picture that came out in the Deseret News last year of me screaming at JB. It was because I told him, you cannot allow any space between you and Matt. You can't allow any space. And so the start of the second half, we had just called a timeout and gone through that, and he allowed space. I said, you have to be touching him the whole time. That's your only responsibility on defense. And then he was lacking because we kind of made a little run. He was lacking, and that's when I started getting crazy because you have to keep a body on him all the time.
But what's it like when you're putting your offense together, though? You know this 2-3, they're funneling you to the middle of the floor to say, yeah, go at 22 and good luck. So what do you do to space them out and go after them?
Well, it was interesting because they zoned us the first half of that game and into the second half. And if you'll remember, they were up by 4 at halftime, I think. And Steven banked in a 3 from the top of the key to start the second half. And for some reason, they came out of their zone. And I was like, oh, it's on now. I mean, because if we're hitting shots in the zone, that's all great. But if in a man-to-man, we move the ball so well, and we set good picks, and we just work until we get a really good shot. That's what that team was really, really good at. Steven and Chantry were just, you know, so good at moving the ball and scoring. And then if Max Brenchley was hitting, then we were doing really well.
I mean, you got to see it kind of firsthand, and he's gotten better every year. But here, Casey Brown, talk about what you saw in his development throughout his career at PGs. You got to coach against him.
Okay, Casey he's tough. And we're actually we're friends. And so because he's friends with all my Lone Peak guys, and he's friends with my Wasatch guys, so I see him all the time. So the thing with Casey is last year, I used to tell the boys, hey, Casey Brown's going to go right. He's going to go left, and then he's going to go back right. And so that's the thing is, it's one thing to tell them, and it's one thing to stop it. Like, we couldn't stop it. He's so strong, and he's so physical, and he became a really good shooter over the last several years. It's a big pickup for BYU to get him. I think he's a phenomenal player, and he's going to keep getting better and better. He's always composed, very tough. I really like Casey Brown.
And, of course, you know his uncle really well. Is that right?
What's uncle?
Did you have an uncle that played at BYU when you were coaching there?
Oh, maybe.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm misremembering some information. But
what do you miss most about coaching in the state tournament? I mean, here you're just a spectator, right? But what do you miss most about being on the bench?
It's just such a rivalry. All the teams. It's, you know, in the state tournament, you got to be good, but you got to be lucky, you know, because any given night, anybody could be anybody. I was talking to the Juan Diego coach yesterday, and he said they got knocked off in the first round, and they've had an incredible year, you know. It's just any given night, anybody can be anybody, and that's why the basketball is the greatest game, you know, around. It's because any given night, you have to bring it every day. The state tournament is the epitome of that. But I do miss being down there.
Well, let's talk about where you are now. Wasatch Academy, whirlwind for you. Take over midsummer, a whole new situation for you. What's it been like for you moving to Mount Pleasant and making all these changes for you and your family?
I think that's a big question. Wasatch is a totally different deal with different. You know, different set of issues. Some of the issues that are some of the things that are an issue at a public school aren't an issue at Wasatch Academy, and some of the things that you deal with at Wasatch Academy, you don't deal with at a public school. So going down there, the school. I want to talk about the school first. Do I have a little time?
Of course. Yeah.
Okay. So the school is just an incredible academic. High level, you know, math, science, arts, everything is high level down there. And it's small enough where the teachers can spend a lot of time with the kids. The average class size is about 12 kids.
Wow.
And so, you know, my own personal kids have really loved it. So the school itself is just phenomenal. It has a headmaster, and Joe is involved in every aspect of the school. There's only 350 kids in the whole school. It's a boarding school, so we have dorms. We have a great cafeteria, and then they're after school. It's not just basketball. We have 22 different programs there.
Yeah.
You know, there's winter sports and volleyball and soccer and baseball and everything. So I didn't understand all that when I got there. I didn't. So with it being a boarding school, I spent a lot more time with the players than I even did at Lone Peak. And I spent a lot of time at Lone Peak with the kids. But they're at my house all the time. You know, they'll eat with our family. They'll be with our family. And a lot of the kids are from out of the country. And so it reminds me a lot of my college experience at BYU Hawaii. And so we have kids from Mali, we have kids from Brazil, we have kids from Europe, and then kids from the United States. By the way, Kale's going to be good.
Yeah, Kale Mickelson is.
Yeah.
That was a big shot.
Yeah.
But he's gotten so much better over the last couple of years.
Is on that turnover up the floor with Kavika Akina. The 22-point lead is got a foul on the floor. Dusty Lister, Dane Stewart, pleased to be joined by head coach of Wasatch Academy, David Evans. And David, you talk about what that program has meant growing and getting bigger. What was it like for you to come take over and try to learn something brand new to you? I mean, you talk about you didn't quite get it, but it still was so new, and there were guys coming, you didn't know them. You got to try to keep them, keep them coming, like Trey Williams and some others as well. What's that been like for you?
Well, it's a big part of it is, you know, Tristan and Aruna was in Holland, and he didn't play last year, and didn't. I mean, he was on the team, but he didn't get much playing time, and it was Tristan will never say like it was the coach's fault or it was the team. He was like, I wasn't ready to play, but I had seen him work out, and I thought he would be pretty good, so I flew over to Holland right when I got the job, and I didn't beg him to come back, but I just told him, I said, hey, you're going to play. And he's really done a great job. So we have Trey Williams back. We have Tristan and Aruna. Trey's going to Minnesota. Tristan just got picked up an offer from Duke. I mean, it's incredible.
It was a big week for him last week.
That's a big week for him. I mean, he was incredible, wasn't he, against Kearns?
Oh, against Kearns, but that dunk against Jordan
was unreal.
That's the best dunk in game I think I have ever seen in person.
I agree with you. I don't think the film even gave it.
You need to see our side.
Okay,
you need to see our side.
side.
Our side, he's looking right at us.
Yeah.
And I mean, it brought out a Ric Flair woo on the timeout. I couldn't help it. Timeout on the floor. We're going to take it with them. 4:28 left in the fourth quarter. We'll be back with Coach Evans. You're watching the 6A State Tournament on live.ksl and DeseretNews.com.
Jimmy John, proud supporter of the Utah High School Activities Association. Try their new 9-grain pizza, made with the best of the best ingredients and baked fresh every day. Now available in a Jimmy John's near you. Wheat yum, Jimmy John's.
Welcome back in the D Event Center. Dusty Lister, Dane Stewart, joined by head coach of the Wasatch Academy Tigers, Coach David Evans. And not just completely take away from this game. We got a 22-point game. It gets closer. We'll be certain to kind of switch that a little bit as Fairbanks pumps on that three. And
good hustle.
Great hustle there by Iverson, but we'll stay here. But Coach, let's talk about this program, because we were talking about some of the changes, but let's kind of transition a little bit. Wasatch Academy draws a lot of criticism. Dana and I have been able to get into it. That's why we're so glad you're joining with us, because we talk about this stuff off camera a lot and we're just together. But your program, though it's local, it's not built and won't be built, you tell me if I'm wrong, on local talent.
No, that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to have the student body and our basketball team kind of like emulate each other. So basically, we've got kids from all over the world in our. That's a good pass by Kavika Akina. Good finish. Oh, nice steal. All right.
You're taking my job now. What are you doing?
Fairbanks. Oh, all right. Well, so that's what we want. We want our team to look like our student body, you know. And so we have a couple local kids with Jackson Kohler and with Richie Saunders, and we could talk about them. But the majority of the team we want from out of the country, from national players. It just is it provides a different opportunity than a public school, and the best way I can say that is I was at Lone Peak, and to me Lone Peak is one of the best public schools in the country. I mean, we were at Geico last year. We had great players, and we had one player pick up a Division I offer, Stephen Ashworth. To me, Chantry Ross was a Division I player. Ended up going to Division II, and that's okay. But the biggest thing for Chantry was exposure. Wasatch Academy gives exposure. I mean, we've had everybody from Duke in our gym to Bill Self flew in for a game. We've had over 75 Division I schools come to our practices.
And how long?
And just since I got there.
So since July.
Yeah, since July. Well, and they could start coming when the viewing period. But it's just different exposure. The issues that I have as a coach are different than the issues at Lone Peak. And that's all I can take from my experience. And now at BYU Hawaii, then Lone Peak, now here, is that at Lone Peak, we lacked maybe a little of athleticism, but we had high skill sets, high IQ. Here we have high athleticism. The skill sets are getting better and better, and the IQ is getting better and better. It's just trying to get those boys to play together the right way. And when we play together the right way, you guys have seen, we're really good. Like, we're really good. When we don't play together the right way, we aren't very good. It's just the way basketball is.
So to reiterate on some things, is Fairbanks knocks out another 3. That gives Fairbanks 10 on the day. But just to reiterate, this program is not going to be built on coming into a tournament like this and you saying, oh, I like this kid, this kid, this kid.
I'm not here looking at kids. I don't. I'm here with my own sons, watching where we were at last year. You know, we're supporting Pleasant Grove, we're supporting Lone Peak, but you know, we just want to watch good basketball, and that's what Utah high school basketball is. I'm here to celebrate Utah basketball. 6A basketball in Utah is fantastic basketball.
So, Coach, I mean,
we can go through the timeout. 30 seconds, we're good.
So, I mean, talk a little bit about that, because now at Wasatch Academy, you guys are traveling all over the country in tournaments. How would you compare kind of what your schedule's been this year and the competition level of what you've had to go up against? Because you're playing, you know, top 100 teams regularly versus what it was like at Lone Peak coaching in the state.
Well, I was thinking about that this morning, actually. We were really fortunate to have good teams. When we were at Lone Peak, in the 3 years I was there, we lost one region game. And you guys know that region is really, really good. Yeah. And every night, it was a stressful night. It's the same thing at Wasatch. It's every game we play is a stressful game. When we travel to Atlanta or to Florida, we've been to Florida twice this year. We played in Maryland. All those games, I mean, I have a lot of sleepless nights, you know, preparing and worrying. And it was the same way at Lone Peak, you know, because whether you play Pleasant Grove or you play La Lumiere, it's a tough game. It's always a tough game. So I don't know if that answers your question, but it's stressful either way.
Well, and I think some of that, you know, you were talking about it's about exposure, right? How many top 100 teams did you play against this year in your schedule?
Oh, I haven't counted, but a lot of teams. And you know, we played this when we out of the gates. We played Legacy early, and we played Meadow Creek, and they're both, you know, easily top 50 teams in the country. And that was the first tournament we went to.
What is it like for you where it's a boarding school and you talk about building a team that is similar to your student body? What is it like for you to try to build a roster? Because, I mean, at Lone Peak, you're working with your youth programs, right? And you're kind of feeding yourself, but you don't really have that luxury at Wasatch Academy. What has that aspect of this job been like?
Okay, so the main thing that I look for is we're losing my son Jonas, we're losing Tristan, Trey Williams, and Bernardo. So Bernardo's going to BYU, Trey's going to Minnesota. Tristan will probably, you know, he's got his top 4, and Jonas is looking between going to BYU as a student and going to a Division II or III school. So now I only want to bring in two kids. And so, like, I'm really selective in kind of how I'm looking. There's a couple kids from Europe that I'm looking at, which would be a good fit for us. And then I'm looking for, like, a backup point guard and to help Mike Saunders out. And that's all we want. You know, we only want about, you know, 8. You know me, I only play like 8 guys.
Yeah.
In high school games, it's harder to play more than 7 or 8 guys because the games are too short. And that's just my own philosophy. It's not everybody's philosophy. So I don't want too many kids. So we've kind of narrowed them down to like a couple kids, and then we'll be done.
And that's going to be interesting to watch. You know, what's interesting for a lot of these guys, too, we talked about off camera, and, you know, not to name certain, well, to name one particular, Richie Saunders.
Oh,
tell you about what Richie Saunders, and I say that because I have an affinity for the kid, because, I mean, I did personally. I called over 10 of his games last year.
Yeah.
So I got to watch him a ton. And so to watch where he's gone and then watch him last Tuesday, 7 threes and a half. Yeah. His career high of 36 points. But to do it and look so different. And part of it is, in my opinion, when I get talked to a lot of people, is that he plays against Division I guys every single day, which makes him a lot better. So talk about not just him in particular, but for these guys, when you're a basketball player, this is what you want to do. What Wasatch gives is that opportunity to focus. You got to measure to understand what it's like to be in college. Tough classes. You got to practice in the morning, practice at night, but then you're going against the best guys every single day.
Yeah, so my goal is what I tell them is, I said, because Richie went through a little lull in the middle of the year. Like, he came out on fire, then he went through this lull, and it was a growing experience. And it was painful for him. Like, I could see it in him. It was painful. And he was still playing well, but he just wasn't shooting great. And I think too often we get to the point where we think scoring is playing well, and it's I don't believe in that. So in regards to Richie specifically, you know, Richie's a Utah kid. Richie, when he gets to college after, you know, he has one more year of high school still with me.
Yeah.
And then after that, he'll be ready to go. Like, because he's been playing against Trey Williams every day. He's been playing against Tristan every day. And you cannot replace that. And it's just a different thing. And it's not for everybody. It's painful for a lot of kids that have come up because you know, we have young bigs that go against Mahdi every day. And Mahdi
how good is Kohler getting because he's going against Mahdi every day?
Kohler has gotten amazingly good. He doesn't understand that yet, but he will when he gets on the AAU circuit this summer. I mean, and you saw him in the last game. He was just incredible. Kohler's just gotten so much better because he's been going against Mahdi every day. He said to me the other day, he's like, "Coach, it feels like I'm running into a brick wall every day." And I said, "You are, but you are slowly breaking that wall down. And when you get to college, there won't be any adjustment period. You'll be ready to go."
And when it's his turn to go, right? It's going to be. It won't be a shell shock opportunity
at all. I mean, and this is interesting. My son Trey is an 8th grader, so he practiced with us every day at Wasatch, and so every day Mike Saunders guards him. And so and Trey has a really good like demeanor with the whole thing, but that amount of practice has been invaluable.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a faster guard than Mike Saunders?
I mean, don't think so. I mean,
he and Ryland Jones.
Unreal.
He and Ryland Jones might be the only ones.
Yeah,
Ryland Jones end-to-end's really,
Ryland's
really
pretty quick too. But Mike will be full speed, and then he can turn it up another gear. It's incredible.
It's crazy.
It is unreal.
He's gotten a lot better this year, hasn't he?
Yeah. He has.
Well, and even a guy like Foose. To see Foose in some of the JV games.
Oh, man.
His development.
Yeah, Foose has been incredible. He's always in a good mood. I know he gets frustrated once in a while with his time on varsity, but he's improved so much. And, like, again, they won't realize that till they step into that role and they take over.
Well, that's the thing is people who are listening, if you get a chance, either watch the streams with us on Deseret News, but certainly come down to a game next year down at Wasatch Academy, and you want to see, and it's been every coach we've talked to this year, in-state coaches. We've done every game and all the in-state teams, and every coach said, I want my kids to see what basketball looks like. Yeah. And that's really what you enjoy. Spencer Cox told us after the game, he's like, I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah, it's fun basketball to watch.
Yeah.
You know, because they're moving the ball, they're sharing the ball. When they don't move the ball, it's not as fun for me anyway.
Yeah.
But when they're moving the ball and sharing the ball. But, I mean, in that fourth quarter against Kearns, I mean, Mahdi had 5 huge dunks.
Yeah.
Caleb Lohner had 2 or 3, and then Leo's dunks are incredible.
Well, and the thing you appreciate, I mean, if you go down and watch that game, a guy like Tristan Enaruna, you know, I haven't seen a game where he's scoring 30 points a game, but yet he holds offers from Kansas and Duke, and because it's just everybody has bought into the system, and it's about sharing the basketball, making the right play, and that's what it looks like you guys have really become over the course of a year.
It has. This is the best basketball we're playing right now, and they're so sick of me saying that. Move the ball, share the ball. I have this philosophy. I call it scarcity. You know, when one player is dominating the ball, then the next time another player gets it, he's selfish with it.
Yep.
And so it reflects on your defense as well. So we try not to allow that. Everybody touch the ball, everybody share the ball. When the team finds success, the individuals find success.
As PG's putting on the finishing touches here, Coach, thank you so much for jumping on with us. Best of luck. Hopefully an invitation will be coming to you soon, we hope. Our fingers are crossed as Skank hits the shot, his final game with Weber on the basketball team. And it is Pleasant Grove moving on to the second round. They'll take on Harriman. Vikings 80, Weber 57. Dane, your final thoughts and a player of the game?
Well, I think PG really jumped out to an early start in this ball game, and you know, they looked like the PG in the regular season. I thought Matt Van Komen was fantastic. 14 points in that first half. Kavika certainly had a huge ball game. They each finished with 16. We're going to go co-players of the game with Kavika Akina and Matt Van Komen. 2
big guys in 2 games getting our players of the game.
That's right.
Go to their head. For Bill Francis, Dane Stewart, David Evans, I'm Dusty Litzer. Thanks for joining us and watching 2019 6A State Tournament live.ksl and DeseretNews.com. Commentary brought to you by Tosh, the Orthopedic Specialty Hospital, and the scoreboard brought to you by Heidemann and Associates.